It's April 16, 2015. So Thursday, this is UPBOptionMillionaires.com. Stock futures are lower this morning, but we have some stocks ripping to the upside. And it's Netflix, after the bell yesterday, reported earnings rocketing to new all-time record highs. Had you been in the calls from last week, I think the $500 calls were something like $1. It's been a tremendous move from $411 up to $540. We'll see those $500 calls that were $1 last week are going to be about $40 when the market opens in about 20 minutes. On the flip side, we have SanDisk, which kind of let the market know it was going to report bad earnings a couple weeks ago, pulled back, kind of recovered, bounced a little bit. So heading into this report, you might have thought that maybe this was all priced in. Think again, the stock is down from 71 down to about 65. And a couple sell ratings coming out on the name. Citigroup ripping, financials ripping as well. Citigroup up over the 54. It's pulling back just a little bit. But JP Morgan Chase to a new all-time high yesterday. Citigroup ripping to the upside. Goldman Sachs out with earnings this morning. Goldman Sachs up over the $200 level. I talked about this to start the week. This could be the week we had over 200, and indeed up to almost 204 before pulling back here. But if you look at Citigroup, I mean, you go back in time, use the time machine, back. For Citigroup, look at this, back in 2007, split adjusted, it was $500. So we're still down here. Anybody still long Citigroup? What was it, about 99 cents at one point? And you can see it's still a lot of room to go, but you don't really care. If you're trading short-term out of the money options, you get this big move to the upside. JP Morgan Chase also with a big move to the upside. Continuation yesterday, up to new all-time record highs before pulling back a little bit, still in that 64 range. The U.S. dollar, it is pulling back this morning. Some strength out of Australia. Jobs report actually showed a growth in labor participation rate. Not bad. So we get the U.S. dollar pulling back, and I talked about this pattern here. I still think it's pretty bullish as we consolidate here, putting in some sort of a flagging pattern, and we're going to rip to the upside for the U.S. dollar at some point. When, I can't tell you exactly when, but it's going to happen. I'm expecting at least to move down to 97 before we head higher, and we could fall as even as low as the 95 level. The bond market continues to be well bid, although still is put in that lower high. If you draw a trend line across, let's see if I have it better up here in this chart platform. You can see, let me see the drawing stuff. There it is. Okay, we've broken above the trend line I've been talking about for quite a while. Actually, we're right up against it. Look at that. So TLT needs to break above this trend line to get some sort of a bullish break that would confirm a move possibly up to new all-time record highs for TLT. You can see it's just kind of indecisive here as it makes up its mind. It's either going to head down to 117.50 or higher to new all-time record highs. Speaking of a stock that's trying to make up its mind, Google has been trying to make up its mind at the 550 level. And now that I look at this chart, it looks even more like a topping pattern that we could see a move down to 500 before earnings. That would be a pretty spectacular move, almost a 9% move, I think. Earnings is midweek, probably Thursday next week, so we've got 5 trading sessions before Google reports earnings, and I think the stock is going to sell off. Possibly open the door up to buy some calls for a spike up to new all-time record highs. Crazy, we saw it back in April of 2007. Google went 20% to the upside. 25-cent options were going for $25. 50-cent options were going for $50 the next trading session. Let's look at some other stocks here. We have FCX breaking out. My goodness, look at the two-day move. A lot of the energy names as well have been breaking out. FCX has, again, a long way to go. I've been talking about this one. Very bearish. Chart has been pulling back since the 30s. I've been talking about this move. I still don't think this move is a bottom that's saying, oh, FCX is going back to, split adjusted was over $100. I don't think it's going back to the mid-20s, but if it does have enough gusto left in the tank, maybe the $25 level before it succumbs to further weakness and heads down here and ultimately just becomes another flash in the pan, much like some of the other companies that we've been watching, like CLF, which is really, look at this. This is what I think is going to happen with FCX. Also, if you look at XLE, broke above is the energy ETF. You can see broke above with vigor. I was talking about these two lines coming together here, long-term horizontal and then trend line support. Coming together, you can see we got to the underside of this trend line. Finally, when we broke above it, did it in a dramatic fashion here. Look at this beautiful candle to the upside. XLE is over 882.70. This implies possibly move up to 85, that we may have hit a bottom here. We'll see. I know people are talking about a bottom for crude oil. Also bouncing as well. It's kind of pulling energy up with it. We'll see if we get back up to this trend line here, 22.50. We are now almost over the $20 range. This morning, let's look at crude oil. Yeah, crude oil was down almost 2% this morning, is rebounding here. It's about 20 minutes, 15 minutes before the market's going to open for trade here. We're getting a nice little bounce. We'll see if that holds. Also, gold futures, we're up significantly, up almost 1% earlier. Is now pulling back a little bit. We'll see. A couple other names here. American Express. I talked about this earlier in the week. I like the $80 calls here for earnings. You can see it's kind of in the confines of this channel. It's a 10-year monthly chart. So we'll zoom in a little closer. Get a little closer. I think we're going to see a move up. Now, this channel is where it's going to be constrained here until we break above it or below it. I think we'll dictate the long-term direction for AXP. Caterpillar, I got some puts earlier this week, and probably one of the most ill-timed trades of 2015 for me, as the last 5 trading sessions. Look at the move. I bought puts right about here, which initiated the buy bots. There's been nothing but upside since for Caterpillar, up to the $85 level yesterday before pulling back late in the session. We're down to about 84 here pre-market, which is just a flash in the pan concerning the $3.50 move to the upside. Also, GDX, I bought some puts there. Yeah, so I am not the perfect trader, unfortunately. I wish I was, but I'm not. GDX, same thing here. Was down at the 1940 range, bought some puts. It did pull back into the close 2 days ago, so I was looking pretty good on those puts, but then had a significant rally yesterday, and look at this consolidation phase. It looks poised to break to the upside. And I was looking from a long-term chart. If you looked at my update, I was looking at a possible head and shoulders pattern here. This would be a left shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder. And we can get up to the 2050 range to really not violate this pattern. So I might be wrong yesterday and today and the day before that, maybe tomorrow. But I think ultimately I'm going to be right about the long-term move for GDX. And now on to just a couple more stocks here. SolarCity, I was talking about this at the start of the month. Look at the move off support at 50. Talked about this support at 50 and also longer-term support. If you go back from a 9-month perspective, you can see the support at 47.50. Each time has bounced significantly. We're getting that bounce up over 10%. Also, Triple D, I call it diners, drive-ins, and dives. You can see also off support. Support works so well on these long-term time frames. If you look at the move off of 27.50 up to 32.50, and this is where we're going to get to. Pretty crazy to see the stock being so weak here at 27.50. When it gets up here, we could be looking at some puts, but I would not stand in the way of this stock. So GoPro also off support. If you pull up a chart for GoPro, I talked about this many moons ago. When it was under $40, it's moved up, and I think it's going to head to 50. Short interest is starting to come down, so the shorts are actually starting to cover, which is helping to fuel this rally. And now the analysts are starting to chime in with some positive remarks on the name. Also, SSYS, talking about this one as well. Look at this move it's had. It had the earnings report pullback, has since recovered, and I'm looking for this gap to fill pretty wild to get back up to the $80 level. So that's something to keep in mind here as we close out the week. A very exciting week coming next week again with Apple and Google. A lot of earnings reports still to come. UBB, I'll see you in the chat room at optionmillionaires.com. And tomorrow is Friday. Remember last Friday, it's monthly options expiration. Last Friday, some significant moves. Chipotle Mexican Grill up 5% for no reason. The options went ballistic, some up 43,000%. So it's been certainly a tremendous time to be trading stock options. See you in the chat room. Goodbye.